Hello, my name is Nneka Nwobi, and I trust that you are well and keeping safe. This is becoming a new normal and learning to adjust with the external environment that we cannot control. I wrote some things about what I had researched on a couple of weeks ago, and that was looking at the first pandemic that happened in the most recent centuries. So like this was the Spanish flu that occurred from January 1918 to December 1920. That's almost 3 years. This influenza infected 500 million people. And history says about close to 50 to 100 million people lost their lives. So the COVID-19 is nothing new. And we're trusting that this will end sooner rather than later. There was a quote that I had seen, and I thought this just captured the essence of where we are. And it says that those who cannot learn from history are doomed to repeat it. So 100 years ago, we had even a more severe pandemic. And there are lessons that I picked up that we can apply, we can learn. The first is take social distancing very seriously. So for 3 years, they didn't find a vaccine. So this became their new normal, living with the virus where they lived across the world. And so when there is no vaccine, it means that physical distancing is what is going to help eliminate this virus. And even though several nations now are lifting their shutdowns, but the responsibility lies on you and me to take social distancing really, really seriously. You know, the fact that people are now moving around doesn't mean that, oh, it's not there. It's kind of like the invisible enemy, right? Particularly if you are asymptomatic. So you may have it, you may be infected and don't know. But then because you are infected, you go ahead and infect other people without realizing it. And then those who are more vulnerable will take that. So it's our responsibility. Let's ensure that we maintain that even as you get back to work. Of course, there are multiple scenarios that could play out. One is that a vaccine is not found and it fizzles out. And this whole pandemic just fizzles out, like what happened in the Spanish flu time. Or a vaccine is found, but that will also take some time for it to get into all the different nations. So we're looking at quite some time. Perhaps 12 months, perhaps 6 months, 18 months. One can't really forecast when, but we think that it could last quite a while. And so how do you begin to ensure that when life resumes and everybody's back at work, restaurants are open and things will be different. So it's important we take that responsibility to ensure that we're doing what we are supposed to do. Part of my research also led me to what happened in New York. As you know, New York even at that time, was densely populated. And the head of the State Department of Health did 3 major things which I'd like to share. And that really led to a case where it was less than 30% infection in the state of New York. One was around staggering working hours. And this really helped, of course, reduce the amount of people in public areas like the public transportation, even those who took their children to school and all, so they staggered that. So if you take public transportation to work, if you have to get to work, ensure that, or if you are the business owner, that your employees can actually have a flexible work schedule where they come in and not too many people in the office. And if you're an employee, urge your employers to do that so that you limit the number of people that are in the office, or even driving as well on the roads and all. There isn't a large number of people on the roads and even using public transportation. The second, interestingly, even at that time, was making use of clearing houses, because data, even at that time, was critical. So they set up different centers just as clearing houses to be able to collect as much data as possible of people who were infected, homes that were infected, just any information that they could find. So when I even think about it, opportunities will increase, particularly in Africa, where we don't have access to much data. Being able to collect data, being able to analyze data, being able to disseminate data. Contact tracing as well will also become extremely vital. So that could be, or you are someone who is very analytical, to begin to look at ways to build databases, offer that kind of service. And the last but not the least, interestingly, was that they went ahead and reopened schools, contrary to what most people had suggested. And they felt that schools were much more hygienic and a healthier environment for those who lived in, say, the slums and those who could not necessarily protect themselves adequately. And that also served as data collection points. I thought, very interesting. What do you think? Do you think schools should be reopened now? I know there was also some debate around that in America, that it may even be a healthier environment than all being at home. Plus the fact that children who don't have access to the internet and cannot go to school online will really suffer at this time. And so it may be important to consider ways for children to go back to school, ensuring that the environment is obviously safer and healthier. What else are you doing to protect yourself? What else are you doing in your business as well? I would like to invite you to join my Facebook community called the African Entrepreneurs Forum if you've not done so. It's a growing community of African entrepreneurs, especially at this time. It's important to get information, share information, collaborate. And I've had experts in marketing, in innovation, and also those in the retail industry, agriculture. I'm going to have a very experienced guest who will be talking around capital, finances in my next edition. So if you've not done so, I encourage you to do so. The link is below. Also, I'd like to hear from you. Let me know, get your comments, and also what would you like me to talk about. I look forward to connecting with you in my next episode. Until then, endeavor to live a significant life.